Welcome to Budget Insights, a podcast series from EVA India Insights, where we explore perspectives on key policy developments shaping India's economic landscape. I'm your host Pallavi, and in today's pre-budget episode, we will discuss priorities and expectations ahead of the upcoming union budget. We are pleased to be joined by Parul Nagpal, partner of Indirect Tax at EVA India. In her role, Parul works closely with clients on indirect tax matters across sectors, including the automobile industry, helping them navigate evolving tax regulations and compliance frameworks. Today, she will share her views on what the auto sector and taxpayers should watch for in the forthcoming budget and the potential implications for indirect tax and the industry competitiveness. Parul, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, to begin with, Parul, what are the key expectations from the Union Budget 2026 for the auto sector, especially as it transitions towards EVs and green mobility?
Recent years have seen rapid growth in India's EV market, and you can see that EV sales jumped to over 2 million in 2024, as per the news which are available. And the government, in order to support the EV journey of India, has already launched major programs like FAME 1, which was launched earlier, and FAME 2 and PM E-Drive, and production link incentives, which are turnover based incentives to localize advanced auto and battery manufacturing in India. The budget for the same is good amount of budget that has been allocated for these schemes. For example, approx 26,000 crores of budget has been allocated for auto PLI and 18,000 crores is been allocated for advanced chemistry cell PLI. In line of the same, now the industry and analysts expect the budget 2026 to keep building on these 10 trends and focus on the electric and green mobility. In reference to that, what in our opinion, we believe that the expectations are around increased subsidies or guarantee for EV adoption, for especially for two-wheeler and three-wheeler segment and commercial vehicle segment, and new incentive for domestic battery gigafactories, support for charging infrastructure, for example, by way of a viability gap funding or tax break. The budget could also reaffirm support for the existing PLI scheme and PME drive by allocating adequate budget outlay or simplifying disbursement and ensure central and state alignment on incentive, for example, by harmonizing SGST reimbursement in the EV policies and roadmap for guideline and policy for PLI on the manufacturing of scintillated rare earth permanent magnet, which is a need of the industry. Further, it is expected that an update on the status of development of a unified digital super app, which is intended to serve as a single platform for EV users across India, is likely to be shared. This app has features of real-time slot booking for batteries, payment integration, charger availability status, and progress dashboard for tracking national development under the PM E-Drive scheme. In continuation of benefits extended in Budget 2025 regarding customs duty exemption for certain EV components and capital good abatement for EV assembly, industry also expect the government to promote local manufacturing through measures like extending concessional customs duties and PLI incentives for EV components by continuing the scrappage policy, which indirectly boosts the demand for new vehicles, including EVs, in this budget. In sum, it is expected that this budget should reinforce or expand on the existing green mobility incentives while filling observed gaps like pending FAME 3 or charging infrastructure funding, rare earth magnet supply PLI, incentive disbursements to promote the green mobility focus of the government of India.
Thank you, Parul. Now, how can tax and policy clarity around EV incentives, charging infrastructure support long-term investment in the sector?
As we discussed, there are multiple measures taken by the government to boost green mobility in the country, ranging from the introduction of PLI schemes, state-supported green mobility incentives, PM E-Drive scheme. All these schemes are critical not only for promoting adoption of green mobility, but would also support the country by creating long-term investment. Having said that, it is important to note that long-term investment in EV and component depend critically on stable and predictable routes. Consistent tax incentive rules would lower the perceived risk of investors. If companies know that EV subsidies will not be abruptly withdrawn, that they can factor in to reduce the prices. They can factor to reduce GST and customs on input. They would be more confident in expanding their factories and R&Ds in India. Ambiguity or surprises, changes, for example, sudden movement of duty exemptions could cause the capital to flee to other countries. Some example of the clarification that might boost long-term investment in this sector are the existing PLI auto and PLI ACC schemes while are positive steps, and as of December 24, participating companies have committed over 25,000 crores of investment in EV and battery infrastructure. The budget could consider increasing the budget for these PLIs, expanding the eligible products, for example, battery recycling technology, EV charging equipment, and new technology products, and allowing fresh applicants in this space. Second, as the imported battery cost comprise significant portion of the overall cost of vehicle, till the battery ecosystem is robust in India, government may consider relaxing the percentage of DVA for the remaining period of the scheme of auto PLI. Further, the government may consider extending the period of PLI scheme to enable OEM manufacturers who have delayed investment to claim the benefit as well. This investment was delayed primarily due to technology related gaps. To boost demand and to increase affordability of the product, in addition to the existing measures, to reintroduce income tax exemption deductions for interest cost on EV loans, classify EV loans and priority sector lending to attract lower interest rate, and also to provide tax cost deduction in EV aftermarket, that is spares and repairs, which attract a higher GST of 18% as compared to 5% on EV sales. These measures are going to support in increasing the affordability of the product by the boosting the demand. Further, for the manufacturer, the government may consider providing tax holidays and faster depreciation on new component plants to support the additional capital flow. Fourth and last, and another important point is rare earth magnet, which is a critical component for EVs and is predominantly controlled or regulated by one country, thereby posing significant supply chain disruptions and impacting the green mobility vision of India. On the request of prominent players and industry, Government of India has proposed a new scheme to promote manufacturing of sintered rare earth permanent magnet with a financial outlay of 7,280 crores. This scheme aims to establish 6,000 metric tons per annum of integrated REAPM manufacturing capacity in India, covering the full chain from rare earth oxide to finished magnets. What industry expects is that a clear roadmap for policy and guideline should be issued on priority. This will boost the long-term investment in the country in this space.
Thank you, Parul. Now, what role can budget play in strengthening India's position in the global auto and auto component supply chain?
The union budget plays an important role in positioning India as a global auto manufacturing hub. In recent speeches and trade events, industry leaders have urged the government to enhance global competitiveness through fiscal measures. With India already the world's third largest automobile market and auto component export exceeding $23 billion in 24-25, the budget can further accelerate this by incentivizing export and localization. In terms of the budgetary measures, by continuing to invest in skills, R&D credits, infrastructure and open trade export missions, the budget can attract more multinationals and domestic firms to make high-end auto and components here. In turn, a robust manufacturing base with strong MSME will drive the employment and innovation. Further, in addition to the PLI, the budget can introduce or expand export promotion measures for auto products. For example, enhance RoDTEP rates or export credit support for components, followed by reaffirming the commitment for Budget 2025, Bharat Trade Net, and export promotion mission initiatives, which are explicitly designed to integrate India's auto component sector into global supply chain by allocating funds or expanding their scope. This would help component maker access foreign buyers and market. In line to that, the government in this week, there was an event organized by the government where the government has promised to increase the RoDTEP rate for auto component sector significantly. And we are hopeful to see that change in this budget. With respect to customs and taxes, rationalizing duties on customs will improve the cost effectiveness of domestic manufacturing. Budget 2026 could extend this approach to other critical inputs. For example, lowering tariffs on imported high-tech auto equipment not yet produced in India, or raising duties on completely built-up imports where local alternative exist. At the same time, measures to offset foreign trade barriers like US import tariffs, perhaps via dialogue or subsidy support, would protect exporters' competitiveness. More broadly, personal income tax relief, raising exemption limited or standard deduction can also support in boosting consumption, which would indirectly support domestic auto demand and production scale. Together, these steps would reinforce India's global standing so that India's automotive ecosystem becomes fully integrated into and competitive within global supply chains.
Thank you, Parul. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your perspectives on the pre-budget expectations and the outlook for the auto sector from an indirect tax standpoint.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to all our listeners for tuning in to the Budget Insights as part of our EY India Insights. Please stay connected with us for the post-budget analysis and the commentary on how policy developments may impact businesses and individuals. Until next time, this is Pallavi signing off.